Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the amazing Newsroom podcast where we basically make fun of the world and everything that happens in it, while also being serious sometimes, but not all the time. So, without further ado, my amazing and gorgeous host, Spencer with his glasses. Everyone give a hand to Spencer.
I'm clapping for myself because I'm awesome.
Shut up, Spencer. No one likes you.
Okay, that's fine. I believe it.
All right, take it away, Spencer. What's the first
Oh, man.
story?
Well, last week we covered the CEO who died from money.
Yes,
United Healthcare. The guy got shot
with a 3D printed gun.
with a 3D printed gun and a silencer. Good job, gun control. Great. What a great opener already. And so we have a small update there in that news story. He's been charged with murder and
Shocker.
an act of terrorism. A grand jury indicted Luigi, the man suspected of shooting Brian Thompson, with an additional terrorism charge.
Ooh.
And that is that came out literally today. I think today's the 17th, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so date of filming the 17th. Luigi, the 26-year-old accused of fatally shooting UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York earlier this month, has been charged with murder as an act of terrorism. The grand jury indicted Luigi with an additional murder charge on Tuesday, according to the New York prosecutors, who have already charged him with murder in the December 4th killing. So did he kill another person?
Did he kill another person, or are they like, you know what, this was such a serious kill, we're going to give you two murder charges?
Listen, he's a serious hitman. Okay.
Serious hitman.
This isn't one that you can buy on hitman.com.
Your average hitman doesn't make his own gun. This guy prints it.
Yes. And it says, prints it. Man, you'd think if you could print a gun, you should just print money and call it a day. But whatever. What do I know? This is basically just a summary of the rest of the story and a little bit more information. We didn't touch on this last week, but I want to touch on it now, that he was turned in by a McDonald's employee. McDonald's saves lives with extra fries. What can I say?
So let me get this straight. He gets identified because of a Starbucks employee that he was flirting with.
Because the hostel worker.
Right? He gets caught on camera because of a Starbucks camera. And also, he gets caught officially because of a McDonald's employee.
Yes.
Fast food chains hate this guy.
Dude, yeah. They are like, this guy killed our best friends.
Let's get at him.
Yeah, let's get him. It's, I don't know. I still think that the connection to the Unabomber is wild.
Yeah.
People are making.
It really is.
I think this guy was just mad at the world. The more that I look into the story, the more I'm like, I'm pretty sure he was just pissed off.
It doesn't feel like a real story. Like imagine, you're in the newsroom, and we're in the newsroom right now. But imagine,
I was going to say, I don't need to imagine that. I'm here.
Imagine you're a journalist and you're interviewing a guy and you're writing this down and you're like, all right, what happened? Okay, so this guy killed a dude. He made his own 3D printed his gun? Oh, okay, that's a bit weird. He flirted with a hostel. He got caught because of hostel?
Hostel? He flirted with a hostel worker.
Okay, that's a bit he got caught because of a McDonald's employee. And he's good looking. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
This guy got dealt the cards of all cards, and he still decided to shoot the guy who wouldn't pay him out. Like, if that doesn't show you that anybody can go mad, I don't know what will. Like the guy has the looks. He obviously has the know-how to succeed in life. He printed his own gun.
He obviously has the Riz.
He has the Riz. He's the Rizzler.
The Rizzler.
The Rizzler strikes again. The hearts and minds of those. And this is the thing that's sad to me. He's going to be idolized by people for years to come because of what he did.
Yeah.
Like, this is what gets me. People are going to look at him in 10 years and 20 years like the Unabomber. Like, people look at the Unabomber today. Like, oh, he was right. We should have killed them all. Like,
Mm.
should have stopped technology. Like, that's how people view the Unabomber today, as almost like a folk hero. And
Yeah.
that's what's really concerning for me, is that what happens in the next 10 to 20 years, especially because I'm a pastor, right? With the way that people view this guy and his actions, do they start justifying and, like, I don't know. It's just a scary place to be in the world today.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'm glad that they caught him. I mean, it took them 20 years to find the Unabomber, but this guy 20 days. Like, that was
Yeah.
way faster.
Yeah.
But
Less than that.
oh, really? Was it less?
It was like 15 days, 13 days.
Yo, they were really pissed that you
Dude.
killed the health CEO.
Hey, don't mess with the insurance companies.
Didn't your
mom ever teach you? Didn't your mom ever teach you? Don't you mess with them insurance companies. They'll come out and get you.
My only question is, like, where was his brother Mario? He needed help.
He had to save the princess from the evil insurance company. We're going on a watch list later, Drew. We're going to get put on a watch list.
We don't even have any viewers, and yet we're
already going on watch lists.
But yeah, I just think it's funny because the general discourse that I saw on the internet was, man, thank God the CEO died. It's like, look, regardless of how you feel about the system, someone died. Like, that's still bad. As much fun as we make about it, someone died. That's not cool. We shouldn't resort to violence like that.
Right. And going to violence to that extreme really removes value of other people. Like, okay, we don't like him, but still, we can't necessarily remove his value as a person.
Yeah.
Despite actions, despite how he's might have treated others, we still can't remove human value from a person. We have to be able to remove their actions from who they are.
Yeah.
At times. I think
agree.
that's really hard for people.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Especially as Christians, right?
Well, I think it's also, I think it's hard to, we assume that because we believe something or we think something, it's right. And I'm not saying like everything you believe is wrong, but we make an assumption that because we think it or we believe it or we process it this way, that is correct. And it is difficult to get out of your own head and to realize maybe things are not as bad as you think they are, or maybe the way that you're thinking and perceiving the world isn't correct. And that's why, like we talked about last time, having a community or people around you is so important, because you don't realize what your blind spots are unless other people tell you,
Yeah. And I think, when you look at all these people who resort to a lot of violence in this way, obviously there are the outliers that uses religion and faith as an opportunity to exert control over others.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people who act in homicidal ways are lone wolves.
Yeah, that's true.
I think of school shooters. I think of the Unabomber. I think of people like that. And I look at them and I see that they are recluses at best. At worst, psychos.
That is actually an interesting point.
Hate people. And so I think that is exactly what you're saying. The community that you have around you is incredibly important, even if you don't like them at times.
You know what's funny, though? I've never even thought, oh man, all these people that have done, not all of them, but most of the people that have done horrible acts are alone. Like, I've never processed that until you just said that right there. That's
and I look at people like serial killers, Ted Bundy. No, listen, like I look at people like that who go to the propensity of violence and they have something wrong with them in their head where they're not able to form deep relationships with people. And it leads to that massive deficit that we're talking about, where it leads to them being able to commit. I mean, I'm no psychologist, but I'm just talking to commit these mass acts of violence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I originally I thought it was just funny because the way that you said, like, I think of serial killers, but besides the point.
I do think of serial killers.
I do think of serial killers.
I think there's one living next to me right now.
Wait. What?
They're weird, bro. They're weird. Never mind. If I don't show up for the newsroom one day, man, you know what happened.
I'm going to call the cops.
Don't bother. I'll be dead.
But, like, in obviously you work at a church, so you've been with people that have suffered a lot, or, people that are not in, like, the best sense of mind. And through, like, my story, I've been a part of, like, AA groups and SA groups, and you know, uh, I've seen people at like their worst,
Right.
absolutely depressed. And this is actually a quote from Nietzsche. I'm going to be butchering this quote terribly, but he makes a point. He's an atheist, and he says, we often might assume that because of the way that we grew up, therefore we have a right to be depressed or sad or vindictive or vile. And then we meet someone that's went through something way worse, and they're not that way. And it puts us into a different perspective of, so just because this is my life doesn't mean I can choose this. So
Right.
my thought process is like, it brings me back to myself of, man, how can I be more attentive to like my friends and be there for them? Not saying that anyone will just randomly snap and become a murderer, but I want to make sure that I'm doing my part as a human, being there for people around me.
I think that's interesting.
How's
the way
that?
that you said it. I think that what you're addressing more so than people's propensity or, their ability to commit violence is more so their ability to justify why they do what they do.
Yeah.
And so what I think, I've read the quote too, and I think you're spot on with your analysis in some areas, but I think he was more getting at the heart of a potential victim mentality that people will suffer from naturally as they take on their burdens and what they've gone through in life to justify bad actions. I'm an alcoholic because, I'm a murderer because society drove me to it, right? Whatever, and they're using all these bad things in life to justify a bad action, and they've become victims of their own mentality. And so I think the important part, just to bring it back, is, when somebody commits violence like this and somebody does a terrible act like shooting a CEO, well, they're going to justify their actions, but bad actions are unjustifiable when it comes to the taking of a human life. And so what I think ends up happening is being in community where people may have suffered more than you lifts the scale, so to speak, or removes the blinders of your life and how bad your life is, and shows you maybe it's not as bad as you thought.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And just, I think the importance of like getting out of your own echo chamber is really important as well. And it's something that I know that we both try to do. We're both, this is going to be something I'm about to say, something that probably people won't like, but it is the truth. Both sides are dependent on radicalizing and making an echo chamber out of their own side. It's a profit wheel. And it's hard to try to view things from like the left and the right, or your religion and other religions, and figure out like what the truth exactly is through all of it. It takes like actual work, and it's exhausting too. So I think that, go ahead.
Just to kind of talk about that, you're talking about echo chambers, but what ends up happening is, whether you like it or not, you find a group of people who believe somewhat like you, versus a group of people who completely believe opposite of you.
Yeah.
And you are drawn to the side who believes somewhat like you, even though you don't believe everything that they believe.
Yes.
Right. And so you find yourself in a place where your views are not fully represented. But if you're really honest, there are people on the other side whose views are not fully represented. And they might just have some more things that are, taking the political spectrum left-leaning than right-leaning, and that's why they go left all the way.
Yeah. Or
and
go right all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and what's also just funny about that is that a lot of it, I think that a lot of our beliefs, regardless of where you are, not religiously, I'm talking like politically. I think they're a lot more. I think we agree on a lot more than we think that we do. But because there's so much a us versus them mentality, because realistically, I think most people generally like, we want a safe country. Like, we want the ability to succeed. We want to be prosperous. Like, I think generally most people agree on that.
Right.
And while we may disagree with the methods, we all coming from the same place of like, hey, we want what's best for the country. For most people, I know some people don't.
Yeah.
And I think like once you get out of your head of like, oh, these people are not here to like attack me, like they hopefully want what's best for the country. It's easier to have those conversations with people that you disagree with.
Right. And so, like going to, I think most people want what's best for the country, but then I also think that there are people who just want what's best for themselves.
Yes,
And
definitely.
so you have to be careful of
Who's who?
the people who wants what's best for themselves. And our next story actually covers that. We have a home invasion in Southern California that happened today.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Breaking news. And it's crazy because, like, I'm sure we'll joke about it, but like literally speaking about some people just wanting what's best for themselves and some people just wanting what is best for them. Crime against another person is quite literally the embodiment of that. I want what's best for me and I'm willing to do anything to get it. Forget the societal norms, forget the societal standard or law that everybody's agreed to live under. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And so I'll just read the news story now. Good God. Okay. 3 men were arrested after a home invasion-style burglary prompted 2 separate. So they fled. Two of them fled separately in a high-speed pursuit in Ventura County Monday. So this was yesterday. Officials announced the December 16th incident began in the early morning hours as deputies with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department responded to reports of a break-in in a residence in an unincorporated area of Oxnard. Just call it Oxford. Come on. They wanted to do it. You can tell. They wanted to do it. They wanted to call it Oxford.
I don't want to picture what Oxnard means.
I can Google it.
Don't.
I can Google it right now. I'll do it.
Continue.
Also known as Hollywood Beach, deputies, according to Ventura County Sheriff's Department news release, spotted known parolee Jordan Carnels, 23, a resident of Oxnard, driving away from the area and initiated pursuit due to Corrales, whatever. Corrales?
Corrales? Sure.
Yep, sure. Erratic driving and willful disregard of members of the public in the pursuit was terminated, authorities say. I'll I've got my own thoughts, but we'll include the rest of the article, but
did they catch him?
Segue in. They did. They were able to locate him after, so he had escaped. It says in the report, deputies were able to locate the 23-year-old several hours after. Later, in a vehicle with 2 other suspects identified as 19-year-old Alfonso. His brother. It's his brother. Same last name. And 24-year-old Michael Gomez, both residents of Oxnard. It's unclear if the suspects were in the same vehicle from the earlier pursuit, but authorities said the 23-year-old was behind the wheel and attempted to flee deputies a second time, leading them on a pursuit from Carmelo to Oxnard. And so the article continues for a little bit there, but brother, they had 5 stars. They had 5 stars, got away, and said, let's chill in the same... No, hold on. They said, I have 5 stars. Let's not go to Lester's and get the body spray and change the car. Let's sit in it. And they got caught again.
6 so badly before release, they decided to just go on with it.
They decided real life is GTA, man. No game, no life.
They're living out our dreams. I mean, come on.
Our dreams? Whoa, don't let me in now. Listen, your dreams is your dreams. You go for it, but...
I don't want this. I don't want this crap.
No, I think it's interesting that... I don't know. I've got so many feelings about this, Drew. One,
tell me them.
They just wanted to rob a bank like GTA and make millions and take the insurance money for their car. But
they just wanted to rob a bank.
They just wanted to rob a bank. I mean, they wanted to rob a house, but obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Now, they are suspects. They're not charged with anything yet, and they have not been convicted. But I think it's incredibly interesting that he was a parolee.
Interesting. So he's already been a part of the system.
Already been through the system and is on parole currently. I was unable to find what he was on parole for, but California has some pretty interesting laws regarding release. Something interesting to note that Jordan is being held on a $500,000 bond. His brother's being held on a $25,000 bond, and Gomez is being held on a $40,000 bond.
And if this was GTA, they would have the money.
They would have robbed a bank already.
Yeah.
Or been sent to the hospital by police and then gotten out and walked away with no issues.
Oh, crap. Here we go again.
Oh, crap. Here we go again. Oh, man.
Here we go again.
No, I don't know. It makes you think about California. Like, I live here.
How close is this to you?
Ventura, I don't want to say exactly, but it's probably like 5 or 6 hours away.
Okay, so it's not like close.
Well, yeah, kind of. But depends.
Yeah, but it's not like in your backyard, I guess.
No. Excuse me. I think Palermo. Thank you. Palermo, California's closer.
Okay.
So, I obviously don't really know geography. I'm not from California. You know, if I was in Florida, I'd be able to tell you Tampa, Orlando, where I am in relation to those. But
yeah,
I couldn't tell you in California yet. I can tell you where I am in relation to Sacramento, but I won't be telling you that, or San Francisco won't be telling you that.
Well, it also helps with like Florida. Everything's so flat, so you can basically see the entire state, where in California, it's all blocked by mountains anyway.
Just take a spyglass, look out your window from Tampa south towards Miami, and I'm there.
I can see Orlando from here.
I see the House of Mouse.
Okay, you want to hear a really weird story, then we'll get back to this.
So, I don't know if I wanted. I don't know, but yeah, I'm prepared. I'm ready.
So back when I was like in first or second grade, my family we lived in Iowa at the time, and we had a family vacation down here just to see like, oh, you know, what's Florida's like. And at the time, my Pee-wee brain didn't realize they're looking to, you know, move down here. But we're in a hotel on the beach, and I look out, and what I see on Fort Myers Beach is Sanibel Island, which is, you know, just an island. It's like a barrier island close. My Pee-wee brain is like, that's Mexico. I can see Mexico.
So my family did the same thing when I was 8. We vacationed in Florida from New York.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so, you know, my Pee-wee brain didn't realize it either, but I never thought Sanibel was Mexico. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was just you, brother.
This is why I have problems.
This is why you have? All right, let's get back to the story.
Not just this.
Let's get back to the story.
Yeah, so what do you think causes someone to rob a house or like get on a speed chase like this?
I mean, it's
easy question, you know.
Yeah, I mean, in California, why not? You'll just get released. Obviously, this gentleman won't, not with $500,000 bond, but I don't know. I think it's humanity's propensity for selfishness. You know, we're so predisposed to be selfish that screw the public, screw the person's house I just robbed, screw the people that have to deal with it. I'm going to do it. And I think that's the answer for really anything, is selfishness or a desire of want, not advocating for like being a monk or having a monk society where, you know, everybody's on their way to nothingness, right? Yeah, like, you know, exactly. Zenyatta from Overwatch 2. Sorry. But you know, I think honestly, I couldn't tell you what makes somebody do something like this. I can tell you the effects it has on people. Even when I was in, you know, my deepest depression, my deepest anxiety, I never thought about going and robbing a bank or robbing a house or fleeing police by any means.
Yeah.
Actually, I was a softie. The police got called on me once because I stole a phone.
Really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, it was when I was like 12 or 11. I was a softie.
I'm young.
Right. Well, I did some other stuff when I was that age too. But, you know, I didn't even steal the phone. My friends did. But I'm like, I'm a snitch, first off. I'm Italian, but I will snitch. So I snitched. And I was like, listen, I didn't take the phone. I know where it is. Just let me go show it to you. I'll take you there right now. I took him there, and we got banned from the property where we hid the phone, and we had a cool fort there and everything. And
Spencer's thug life.
thug life, dog. I don't know. It was like Florida redneck crap, dude. We found an alcove of trees with a little flat land, and some teenagers ruined it for us and freaking started drinking there and everything like that. So what was once nice and, you could walk barefoot on, couldn't walk barefoot on anymore because it was glass bottles. And we hid the phone there. We hid the phone there because we knew where it would be. Well, the friend who stole it actually took the phone home, texted the person's boyfriend who we stole it from, and then that's how we got caught.
Yeah. Happens every time.
If he didn't text the boyfriend, they would have never known it was stolen. They would have thought she lost it. But, the reason why we did it was we were being selfish. Look at the small scale, see it on the large scale.
Which is funny because, obviously, like, sin is it is a Christian concept, but, it's in other religions in various forms. But if you think about it, like, sin in its most, like, granular form is just selfishness. It's like wanting ow, dang, I hit the mic. Just wanting what you want above everything else.
Right.
And that really leads to all sorts of problems. Things that you also don't expect in the moment, So my question is for you. When people are thinking about, like, robbing banks or robbing houses or carjacking, do you think that they fully understand the ramifications of, like, what they're doing? Or, like, do you think that these guys thought, you know what, if the police come, we're just going to run? Like, what's your thought process on that?
I mean, personally, my thought process is you're stupid if you didn't think there was going to be ramifications. Like, you just want listen, I'll be Southern. I might be wearing glasses. I'll take them off right now. You're stupid. Let me add a little Southern twang to it, too. You're a little really retarded right there.
You're a little stupid.
You're a little slow, bud. If you thought there'd be no ramifications, everybody knows that actions have consequences. It's like the first thing that you learn when you're in school. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? And so you push a ball down the road. Well, the force of you pushing the ball will propel the ball forward. But if it hits a wall, guess what? It's going to come back, right? Like, think of those little plastic kickballs that we used to play with as kids, right? Or a dodgeball, the plastic dodgeballs. Well, if you throw the dodgeball at somebody's head, smack on, and you don't move and you're standing right there, guess what? Ricochet, double kill, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get smacked in the face.
Yeah.
And so I think they're retarded if they didn't think anything was going to happen to them. Listen, I've lived here too long. I'm becoming more and more jaded every day. I'm like, did you really think, like, in youth ministry, it's like you're talking to youth students and, like, they have pea-sized brains. And you talk to them and you're like, did you really think nothing would happen when you jumped off
and then you
a
slowly
building
realized
roof?
they didn't think.
And then you realize they didn't think. And so, you can't fix stupid. And whether they thought there was consequences or not, it doesn't change the fact of what led them to the crime. Listen, very rarely will you meet a criminal who said, yeah, I was going to rob a bank. Yeah, I was going to steal, but then I thought of the consequences and the police catching me. No criminal I've ever met has said that. And I don't think anybody would. Any criminal, hardened
Or if
criminal
they do,
would.
they're sociopaths.
Right. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't think at all. So, I think that's just, it's tough because the guy brought his brother with him. And even if they suspect him to be involved, I hope he does not get convicted. He's only, let's go back to the article. He's only 19. He just turned into a doll. And he might be facing burglary
But here's the thing that no one wants to actually talk about is that a lot of crime is not because usually people are disenfranchised or they're taught wrong or they go to the wrong school. A lot of it is
True.
they see their family doing it, or their family is in such a dysfunctional family that it propagates something like that. Like that's a lot of it.
I didn't read this, but it does have their charges listed. Arrested for evading burglary, parole violation. Alfonso
Great
was
name.
arrested for prowling, resisting arrest, possession of a concealed dagger, and an outstanding arrest warrant. So this was not the first time. And then Gomez was arrested for resisting arrest and conspiracy to commit a crime. So it does have their charges there. And I look at that and I say, I wonder where he learned it from. And then I go back a little farther and I go, well, I wonder where Jordan learned it from.
Yeah. But, it goes back to like what we were talking about originally. Like, that is an influence and everyone has a choice in what they do. And we both know some people of a guy who grew up in the gangs and got out of that life. Like, they don't have to, like, do that.
Right.
And the sad part about it is not that they got caught or that someone, I don't think anyone got hurt, but like if someone got hurt, that's not the sad part. Although that is,
a sad part.
Yeah. It's the fact that you got kids that may be in jail for a mass amount of time and can't really experience life because they made a freaking dumb decision
and if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty as well, is the Department of Corrections actually going to correct the behavior or make it worse by putting them in a situation where they're around more criminals, learn more of the trade? Like I think of, I don't know if I can say this. Future Drew, if this comes out wrong, go ahead and cut it.
Okay.
So YouTube Clips has taught me a lot about the show called Shameless.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of this show?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what I'm thinking is like, it's kind of like the clips that you see of Carl Gallagher going to prison and saying, you know how much street cred I'm going to have? You know what I'm going to learn? You can't, and he goes, you can't replace learning on the job or something with just book knowledge of learning how to do it. But actually, and he's getting sentenced by the judge for, I think it was like stealing. I don't know. I don't remember. It was just the clip of him talking. And I was like, we can joke all we want and say, yeah, that's a TV show, but how many people do that in real life?
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is how accurate that TV show is. By him going to jail, he is going around some of the worst people he could be around. As why do we treat drug addiction, alcoholism, like defects in the brain, but not courtesy? Why do we treat that with punishment and the others with recovery? I don't understand it. I never will. They need to recover their mind, right? They need to learn and not be necessarily, I don't think every criminal should be punished super harshly. Maybe I'm a little liberal on that. I think they need to go into more of a recovery situation where you learn how to live life as a contributing member of society. And I just don't think the DOC does that.
Well, I actually kind of agree with that. And, the original idea of solitary confinement, here are my random tangents. I pull something that I heard like 6 months ago and regurgitate it.
Right.
But the idea of solitary confinement was not as a punishment. It was originally, you have enough time by yourself to pray and understand your flaws and confess your sins to God. That's actually where solitary confinement came from originally. Right. So it was not a tool. It was a tool, to punish someone in the form of recovery and restoration.
Right.
But the issue that I see is either we go one way where it's like, well, they just need to be punished. They don't even deserve restoration. Or the other way, which is unfortunately we've seen a lot in the church world, which is like, we're so into restoration that we don't even have any punishment.
Right. I'm dealing with a gentleman, just got saved. He came out of jail. He was in jail for 3 days. He was released on OR, own recognizance, and he's got a court date coming up. And so I've been meeting with this young man. He's younger than me. He's like 20, 21. And he gave his life to the Lord, and I keep telling him, I was like, listen, the judge is going to sentence you. It's going to happen. And I have to keep having the conversation with him and affirming him, like, listen, we're going to pray that it's the penalties, the fines and things that you have to pay and parole and not jail time. But even if it's jail time, you have to pay for your actions.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important to pay for your actions. It's oftentimes how you know that you've learned your lesson properly. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not avoid of punishment, but I'm avoid of creating a system. I'm adverse to the idea of creating a system that, rather than encouraging a recovery and a restoration mindset, more so creates a perpetual incarceration situation, which we have currently in the United States, mass incarceration.
Yeah.
And, whether you like it or not, the vast majority of them are minorities, African American, Hispanic. I think there's reasons for that, and I don't think we have enough time in the show to cover those, but
I will say, like, from personal experience, one of the hardest things I've ever had to experience is this kid that I knew. He invaded a house like really late and stabbed this other kid like 17 times, like, gruesome murder, like terrible. And I don't remember exactly if the kid that got stabbed survived or not. I don't remember. It's been a while. But I was in the courtroom when this guy that did it. So he does it. He gets radically saved. And he's like, man, I've made such a bad mistake. He gets into like, he's on parole for a bit. He has an ankle monitor, you're trying to fix his life. I'm in the courtroom, and then he gets sentenced to 15 years, no parole. And it is, like I've gone through crap in my life as we all have. That was one of the hardest things I've ever seen. And seeing a kid that's 17, knowing that he won't be out of jail till he's 33, like that, that's literally almost half his life is in jail. That just hit differently.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason why is because there's no hope with that. Like, you're stuck for 15 years.
I disagree.
Okay, interesting. Tell me more.
I mean, in that specific situation, let's take that situation. There's no hope. The man gave his life to Jesus. He has all the hope he'll ever need.
True.
In prison or out of prison, right?
True.
But the problem that I find is that when we sentence young people to these long-term and harsh prison terms, their mind's not fully developed till they're 25. They're not able to drink till they're 21. In most states, they're not able to smoke till they're 21. Okay. Well, if they're not fully developed at 17 and we're trying them as adults oftentimes, why in the world are we giving them life sentences?
Yeah. It's a good question.
Now, I'm not in favor of like letting them all out right now. They need to be evaluated, right? I'm not pushing for that, but I am pushing for the fact that we need to have, it's such a Christian thing to say, but we need to have a little bit of grace for these guys.
A little bit of grace.
A little bit of grace. Need a little bit of grace for these boys. Hallelujah. But like this young man, okay, I'm dealing with it actively. I'm reminding him his actions have consequences. God is good still.
Yeah.
It brought you to him. So even if you go to jail, doesn't change who God is.
Yeah, and it's so easy to like say God is good when things are good. Right. Like, the real challenge of anything is not having morals when things are easy or good. It's having morals or being good or believing God is good when they're not. Like, that's how I can tell like someone is genuine in their faith, but also like really believes it, in my opinion. Right. It's like when things are bad, not that they don't struggle, but still believe that there's a, like, God sees them and there's a purpose to it. So I guess like for this situation in California, for yours, for the guy that I was thinking of, my hope and prayer is that the time that they spend is not wasted. You know, that's my thought.
Yeah, and we can talk about that and continue kind of this dialogue. But speaking about how sometimes things go bad, nationally, globally, it brings us kind of to our next story here. with the CCTV video from Vanuatu, the earthquake that just hit. It struck Tuesday, which is today, at 12:47 local time. And I'll play the video here because I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But it's a 7.3 magnitude earthquake. Now, that's massive. That's big. So let's just quickly. You'll see some stuff here. One person runs.
Gosh.
Right there in the right corner. The dog and another person running from the building. Look at the dog. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy to see. Like, man, earthquakes, tornado. It's cool and scary to see like acts of God like that.
Yeah. And so it says basically here that 2 people can be seen running away from falling debris in the garage, while the camera also seems to pick up a dog trying to get away from the danger. The dog got away. I don't know about the people, but the dog got away. Unconfirmed deaths. It's a terrible story of just bad things happening, and it's such an act of God.
You know where Vanuatu is?
Yeah, Pacific Islands.
Yeah, middle Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. And so, to get help out there would take weeks.
A long time, months maybe.
Yeah. It's not so isolated that it would take months. It's about a 4-hour plane ride from Australia.
Okay, so it's not that bad.
A boat. Yeah, so it's not like the southwest of Africa. There's an island. It was a European colony, I believe England, and they take months to get Amazon packages, right? So it wouldn't. Not that natural disaster is different from an Amazon package. I understand that, but maybe I just have to say it out loud. I don't know, but
I mean, you never know.
You never know. You never know, and I know missionaries there, right? I know people who are there, so I pray for that. That's one that hits close to home.
Yeah,
right?
No, definitely.
Yeah. So does this one, Drew. This is probably the one you've been most excited for.
I am.
You are.
Hit it to me.
Go ahead and read the news article.
12 people found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning at popular ski resort. I know it's so bad that we're making fun of this, but it is pretty funny.
So I'll say it because you haven't said it yet. They died from farts. Because listen, 12 bodies were discovered on the second floor of an Indian restaurant at the ski resort this past Sunday. And just so you know, this was the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. Not the state, the former, Russian puppet.
Yeah.
And so this is what gets me. As a Floridian, we both understand the rules of a generator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Police said they found a power generator on the same floor that was turned on the day after the power was turned off in the area. They died on the second floor of this restaurant. Why in God's name did they have a generator inside?
And my question is, so is it like all 12 people are there, it's on, and then like they notice it? Or does one person go up there and then they're like, oh crap, this other guy's gone. Frank, go up there and figure it out. And they keep sending people.
They just keep sending people to the attic thinking, oh, it's weird they haven't come back yet.
By the 12th guy, we got to probably...
I don't know. I've got some mixed feelings about this. When people died, I mean,
yeah.
Why do we cover so many death stories, man? We got to find something better. But, we got to do better, Drew. But, the Indian food was so freaking good.
It was so powerful.
I just want to say the joke. The Indian food was so freaking good that it just came right out as carbon monoxide. The other A.
I will say, though, low-key, Indian food slaps.
I know. I live in a very predominantly Punjab town. There's like 30% Punjab.
Really?
And yeah, I have the best Indian food.
I did not know this.
Here in California. Yeah.
Tell me.
Okay. You go into one of these restaurants, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. My stomach can't handle it, though. First time I had Indian food, listen,
you
goes to the story here. Dude, yeah, first time I had Indian food, I wasn't even done with the meal. I had to go to the bathroom, bro. It was so rough. I had mild. mild innuendo. It was bad. It was really bad. But it's sad. And, it's not like one of these stories where it's like, oh, yes, the guy was found, like in Russia, you get the news stories. Yes, the guy killed himself. He was stabbed in the back 3 times, shot himself in the head twice, and fell off the second story of a building. And he's
Definitely
dead.
suicide.
Suicide.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's not one of these. It's a genuine, it's an actual thing that's happened. And it's very sad. It happened today. Found out about it at about 1 p.m. Eastern time. And
Yeah, a lot of stories like this, unfortunately, it's usually mismanagement or people just not doing things correctly with like their equipment, which sucks,
Right.
Unfortunately, though, you probably agree with this. Probably kind of common that if something was going to fall apart or there's going to be a mismanagement or something like that, it would be in Soviet Russia. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. Well, the former Soviet Republic was not known for
Yeah.
the upkeep of the puppets. Everything went back to Mother Russia.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. There's actually, I forget where exactly it is, but there is I think it's Transnistria or Turkmenistan or something. It's a country that like still basically has old Soviet Russia money, like buildings, architecture,
Yep.
like it hasn't moved out of the 1980s and 1990s.
Well, they haven't had the economy to move.
Yeah.
The economy is completely destroyed. So they use the old money. They use the old buildings. A lot of these Eastern European countries are like that, especially in the Baltic area.
Yeah.
They're very underdeveloped compared to the rest of Europe, mainly because of those about 40, 50 years where they were under Soviet occupation.
And what people forget is that those areas are very old. There's a lot of history there. Like that's not a new area that you can just come in and bulldoze everything. Like that is a very difficult area to really work in. Like there's mindsets there that have been there for hundreds, thousands of years.
You go as far back as Greece, right? The Alexandrian Empire, and then you go a little farther and you go to the Ottoman invasion of the Baltics, right?
Yeah.
Baltics, and
Mongols.
And you see, Mongols before that, and you just see a lot of history there.
Yeah,
that's not easily rewritten.
Yeah,
and it's very dangerous to do any kind of construction there because you might end up either finding something you didn't expect to find, and now you've got to preserve it, or you can't develop there very much because it's got a lot of this historical significance.
Yeah. So it's one of those areas. Honestly, I'm fascinated by that whole area, like Bulgaria, Romania, Poland. That's a place like I would love to go to and just
Vlad the Impaler,
right
from that area, right from there. Yeah, and he's known as the king who held back the Ottomans from the Hungarian Empire, right? And so you've got people like that who lived in that area, and then obviously World War I.
Well, and then also, I mean, just do you know anything about like ancient 1600s to 1800s Soviet history?
Talking about Cossacks?
Yeah.
Or
just like the violence in blood and the way that things were handled in there at that time. Like,
it was brutal.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm not. It may be like the story is funny because it's not surprising that if this happened, it'd be there.
It would. A very poorly upkept country. Obviously, not speaking on behalf of the whole country, but I think it is substantial to mention that it was former Soviet puppet. And
yeah, actually, do you mind if I go on a random tangent that we didn't plan for this area?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm looking up the map right now. So there's Georgia, Armenia, and then there's Azerbaijan, kind of in that general area right next to the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. Do you know of the war in Nagorno-Karabakh and how Azerbaijan has taken over an area that was originally Armenian like a year ago?
No, I don't know.
They came in. It was like this area. So like, and I could be wrong with the details. So you have Armenia, you have Azerbaijan, and then there's a section of Armenia like right here in Azerbaijan, and it's for specifically like, if I remember correctly, it's like a specific population, a specific ethnicity. And there was one road in, and Azerbaijan for years was like, they're different than us. We don't like them, but we're not going to do anything. And then like one day they invaded and basically did like mass deportation / executions / we're going to repopulate the area.
They pulled a Hitler.
No one knows about it. Not a single person that I know has heard of Nagorno-Karabakh or any of like the depopulation that has been happening there. It has been going on for a couple of years.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, and
they pulled a Hitler.
Part of it's like I kind of forgot it existed until we were talking about that area. Like there's a massive humanitarian effort, humanitarian crisis there that is bigger than the Ukrainian crisis, which is crazy to think about. It's bigger than the Gaza and Israel crisis. It's bigger than all those, and no one talks about it. It's bigger than the Sudan war right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you use crises for all of the wars that are going on. Let's call a sheep a sheep.
Yeah.
And a goat a goat. Okay. The wars that are being waged right now in that area are substantial.
Yeah.
All over the world, but especially in the Baltic area, Ukraine. And obviously this one, I never even heard of it. Like nobody's reported on that.
Yeah, most people didn't. It's like that war and the Sudanese, East Sudan, North and West Sudan wars have basically not been reported on at all.
Okay.
And so it's actually there's three. It's those two. I got another random story. Oh, this is great. I did not plan this. Here we go. Here we go. So, do you know where Myanmar is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Myanmar, the Myanmar Republic?
Yes. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it's right next to Vietnam. Yeah. It was originally Burma. It was called Burma by the English, and then it would transition to Myanmar.
Yeah.
So there's a military junta that ruled the area, and there was a popular uprising that was happening like 2 or 3 years ago. 2 years ago, the military junta starts bombing the crap out of their own citizens to stop this uprising. So they're dropping like napalm on their own citizens and burning them away. And it's been going on in the background for a while. Not a lot of people have heard about it. And originally, like what I heard is, this is what's going to happen. Dictators are going to like punish his people, and they're going to stay in power because the people won't have the will to fight. Then kind of out of nowhere, the people started fighting back because they had all these like 10 or 20 different groups all banded together to fight the hunter. And then there's some support from Vietnam and China and India all flooding in. Typical America stuff. We don't fight our wars. We just help other people fight their wars.
Yeah. China's pulling in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what's crazy. So this war is going on currently right now. And the military junta is losing terribly. Like they've lost, I think, like 60 to 80% of all the towns that they had. But they're retreating into these strongholds, like these massive cities, like, the capital city. And very soon, these resistance armies are going to come in and try to fight in the most heavily stronghold, which happens to be the most populous cities in Myanmar. And that could be up there as like one of the worst humanitarian crises in the last 5 years.
Yes.
No one knows about it.
No.
Sorry, tangent.
Because it's basically the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
No, it's like nobody wants to go back to that region of the world. Nobody wants to report on it. No, I'm not joking. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to hear about it, but it's happening in the world, and we ought to know.
Yeah, no, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how people choose what they want to report on and choose what they want to read even. And so you even have that with us where we pick and choose what we want to report on or what we want to talk about. And, we kind of do a little satire, a little comedy with it, whatever. But still, these are important stories.
Yeah, and the hard part is also like trying to keep up, between us, trying to keep up with all the news and doing it justice. Like it's impossible. There's so much going on in the world. And in order to like do every conflict justice, you gotta talk about hours of conversations. And it's like, how are we able to like talk about Nagorno-Karabakh, Myanmar, Gaza, Israel, any of these places with accuracy in, the small time that we have, like or with any experts.
Yeah. What you have to do is you have to do specials on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like dedicated whole hour plus just for those conflicts, because it is the only way to do justice by the people who are fighting and who have died for their freedoms and their liberties, or who are having their freedoms and liberties oppressed.
Yeah, and I think like if you can't do that, the start is saying that these things exist and they're happening, and getting the word out.
Yeah. And obviously doing more research and fact checked everything we're saying. I'm sure we've said 1,000 things wrong.
Yo,
but
easy.
This is something that's not wrong though, because I'm 100% sure that this is bull crap. But let's talk about IGN. Okay. I know, listen, I know we just said we were going to focus on one thing, but hold on.
No, let's just
Are we going to talk about how League of Legends T1 is the best esports team? Are we going to talk about that? No, don't have time. Baker, 100% right pick.
Oh, easy.
League of Legends, the best esports game. League of Legends. Oh my God. So wrong. But that's not
I thought League was dead.
I thought it was too. What, doesn't it take like 2 hours to queue for high ranked games now? Like nobody wants to play.
I haven't played League. I don't give a crap.
I used to. I was toxic.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Just thinking about League of Legends makes me angry. Heal me. Besides the point. I'm getting
it's
flashbacks.
One of those games where like if you don't have good people on it, you're just not going to play good.
No, you're cooked. You're done. Yeah.
But
we play a lot of multiplayer games though.
Oh yeah.
We play a lot of multiplayer games.
Yeah.
And so what do you think about the noms before we talk about the winner?
For
Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Yeah. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, man.
Dude, Blop 6 coming in hardcore.
Blop 6.
I will say, as someone that has played Call of Duty from the original, but is not a stan. I am not a Call of Duty stan. I enjoy Black Ops 6. And then skill-based matchmaking has made everything so sweaty. Like, I feel like if I'm going to go into a Black Ops 6 match, I need to, like, have gloves on just to make sure I can grip the controller so that it doesn't fall on my sweaty
you're doing
palms.
It wrong. What you do is you AFK for one match, and then you load up, and you get all the noobs.
That's a good idea.
It's a thought. Black Ops 6, I personally love Call of Duty, but I love Battlefield more, and I'm upset that it's not even on this list.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2.
Never played it, but I heard it's amazing.
Bro, it is so good. So good. Super Mario Party.
Let's be honest, though. Super Mario is underrated. Change my mind.
I don't need to change your mind. You're wrong. Why is it on? Yeah, but it might be underrated. No, hold on. It might be underrated, but why is it on the best multiplayer games list?
This is true.
For this, when you have Battlefield, you have Rainbow Six Siege, you have all these other games that came out. Now I understand they weren't released this year, so maybe that was the criteria, and that's why they threw Super Mario Party on. But still,
hey, I mean, even then,
think about it like this: Super Mario Party is on the same list as Helldivers, Call of Duty, and Warhammer 40K. What? What? Super Mario Party's on this list. Do you see this?
It doesn't make sense at all.
No, that's crazy.
Because I feel like the other games are, for the most part, like online, couch co-op and online, couch co-op and online, Super Mario Party, your kids can play it.
Hey, I don't know, man. I'm just here for the vibes at this point, because I don't think this list is good. Tekken 8. That's a good pick. I don't mind that pick.
All right, let's divide opinions here. What do you think is the best fighting game? Let's go.
Why are we talking about fighting games now?
Well, we're talking about Tekken 8. What else are we going to talk about?
Fine. Dragon Ball Z. The new one that just came out.
Super Booty Guy. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Fighter. The one that just came out for Steam was amazing.
Yes.
That's what I think the best game of 24 was for fighters. But I do see the conversation to have with some of these other fighter games that came out. I forget what else came out this year right now off the top of my head, but
yeah, I'd probably say.
This year?
Go ahead.
What other fighter games came out this year?
Tekken 8.
Oh, dude, Marvel vs. Capcom was good. But look at
um,
that. Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. That's the one I was talking about. That was fire. That was a great fighter game.
that was a good one. It's like the most Dragon Ball Z game
It is
ever.
super Dragon Ball Z.
Like, if you think of macho men randomly screaming at the top of their lungs while their hair changes color, that's that game.
Over 9,000!
9,000! There's a wish.
Oh my gosh. No, I think Dragon Ball Z was perfect. I think Dragon Ball Z was a great game.
Dragon Ball Z is, in my opinion, what's a good example of Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z is like the Porsche of the video game world. For me, personally. And then you've got the Honda Accords of the video game world, such as Super Mario Party.
Dragon Ball
It's
Z.
versatile. You get a lot of mileage out of it. But is it
works
really
for
that
everyone.
good? Nah, not really. Not
It
really
works
that
for
good.
everyone, you know?
But it works for everyone.
Dragon Ball Z is Grey's Anatomy because there's so many episodes. And
Right.
everyone knows that it exists. And no one ever actually wants to say, like, Grey's Anatomy is one of your favorite shows. But when you
I'm
watch Dragon
unashamed.
Ball Z or Grey's Anatomy, you get sucked in.
You do. One season turns to 2, and then it turns to 20. And then pretty soon you're like One Piece, where you're watching 600 episodes just to understand, and 500 of them are filler.
Yep, One Piece.
Grey's Anatomy.
Dude, low key, I actually just started watching Grey's Anatomy. Honestly,
It's good.
pretty amazing.
It's pretty good. I'll call it how I see it. It's literally just a little bit of doctor stuff and a whole lot of relationship drama.
That's
And
all it is.
It's all it needs to be.
But, you know, I also, like, grew up on House. So House is actually my
Okay.
favorite doctor show. But Grey's Anatomy.
House in Prison was a wild season, by the
Dude.
way. I thought that was like crazy.
Or House in
'Cause-
Rehab.
Yeah. They need to bring House back. You know what also they need to bring back? They need to bring back Suits.
They might be bringing it back.
Really?
Suits and White Collar.
What? They're bringing back White Collar too?
White Collar is the actors all agreed. They're writing the show, and it should be produced in the next year or two.
I freaking loved White Collar, dude. That was a great show.
It's the same writers and directors as well.
Phenomenal. Fantastic. Is it a continuation or a reboot?
It's continuation. Same actors.
Phenomenal. That's great. Gosh, so excited. Best multiplayer games. Warhammer 40K.
I've never played
Space
Warhammer,
Marine 2.
although, in my opinion, Warhammer, from someone that's never played it, a Warhammer is basically the new Gears of War.
Can I just tell you something right now?
Yeah.
If you don't play Warhammer, we're not friends anymore. Just like if I don't watch Dune Part 2, we're not friends anymore.
I guess I got to play
I
Warhammer
hate
before
you.
the next episode.
I absolutely hate you because I watched Dune.
You watched Dune?
I watched Dune.
Like, in this last week?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
That fight scene at the end was crazy, bro. It was well worth it. It actually ended up being worth it. I was still super uncomfortable by how much latex and how like sexual some parts of it were that were totally not supposed to be. I also don't understand how this baby is like talking in the womb or whatever, but I don't understand it. But I did watch it, and that fight scene was well worth it.
Oh, and the crazy part of, like, oh, he loves Chani constantly, and then the last second, I'm gonna marry that girl.
He doesn't. I think he was playing her the whole time.
Using her once he became the guy.
Mm-hmm. It was game over.
Yeah.
All right.
He played her like a fiddle.
He played her like a fiddle. Fiddlesticks. Oh, no.
Fiddlesticks. Man, what a great
Fiddlesticks.
episode. We've talked about Unknown Wars, a guy trying to play GTA in real life, Dragon Ball Z and Grey's
killing
Anatomy,
people. Farts killing people. Farts kill.
and
So
then
does crack.
earthquakes.
And then earthquakes. Yes. This is the episode.
The newsroom. Where
So
can
you're gonna
we
play
get this
Space Marine 2,
content?
right? You're gonna play Space Marine 2?
I'm gonna play Space Marine 2.
All right, bet.
Where can you get this content, though? I mean, what other show talks about all these things the way we do?
That's probably why other shows are more popular.
Well, with
That's
that,
just
we're gonna close it out today.
Oh man, what a great show.
What a great show. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully for the one person that's actually watching it, we appreciate you. You know who you are. We also have no idea who we're
We don't know who you are, but you know who you are.
You know who you are. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.